Hey everybody, it's Scott from SCG Studios coming at you with another video today. First off, I apologize for being a day late on the video. I normally do videos on Saturdays, but I just didn't yesterday. It was nice out here in Ohio, so I was outside all day. It's also nice here again on Sunday, but I have to do this video. Anyway, second thing, I got a haircut. First haircut since quarantine started, now that barbershops are open, so that feels great. Third thing, allergies are kicking my butt, so my eyes are puffy, and I'm sorry. And I might sniff a lot in this video. Anyway, all that stuff's out of the way. This video is about making a template to record your voice into. So, the audio that I have for this example is from my brother, who is just getting started in the world of recording. We got him an audio interface, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which he has just gotten up and running. He got his free Pro Tools First installation, so he is recording into that. And he wanted me to take his audio and do some processing on it and show him exactly what I did. So that is really what this video is for. It's for you, Jeff, and anyone else who might be watching. I hope this helps you as well. So first things first, when I got this audio file, it sounded it was super quiet. So the very first thing I did was actually adjusted the clip gain of his microphone and of the video that he recorded along with it. So I just highlighted everything, and in Cubase I had this little marker here in the middle of each clip where if I click it and drag, you can see the waveform is changing there. So I added 7.77 dB of gain to that clip, and then the video clip was similar, 7.23 there. And the reason for that is there's a sweet spot for your plugins. They will handle audio flowing through them differently at different levels. So the general rule of thumb is that you should see the audio coming in at maybe 60 to 70% of its way up the meter. Jeff, when I got this, it was down here. So all you got to do is just record it louder. Turn the level up, the knob up on your interface a little bit. Just add a little more gain to it so that it records louder. So that's the first thing I did, is I gained up each clip. Second thing, I took a listen.
Don't you know?
Whoops, hang on. I still have the limiter on. Let me turn the limiter off. Hey, what am I doing? Hitting the wrong buttons. There we go, limiter's off.
I was a 12-year-old Catholic boy, therefore I know what I'm talking about.
Alright, so his voice sounds, well, it's quiet, first of all. I'll turn the limiter off. It sounds a little thin, a little bit small, and if you listen closely, you can hear there's some low-mid buildup. There's one particular frequency that is humming, which I dipped out with marker 7 here. Markers 5 and 6 I used to kind of take out the talking into your hand frequencies. That's 1 to 2K. Those can be annoying to your ears. You might not know you're hearing them, but you get worn out by them. So that's what those are. And then I did a boost on the low and the high just to fill out his voice more. That felt good to me. So here's what that did.
Of Catholicism. He grew up as a Catholic. Don't you know? I was a 12-year-old Catholic boy, therefore I know what I'm talking about.
So big difference there, which is one EQ. I might have done more moves than was necessary. If you have a 4-band EQ, then I would just take a screenshot of this, and you generally want to do a low-mid dip right there like I did with 3. You generally want to do a low boost and a high boost, and then a high-mid dip here. These were just because I had 7 bands, I wanted to use them. So anyway, first thing I did was EQ. Second thing I did was compression. I used a compressor. So I know in Pro Tools, one of the stock plugins, one of the stock compressors is the BF76, which is modeled after the UAD 1176 compressor. It's a famous compressor lots of people have used over the years. So this one is similar in Cubase. It's got it's a fixed threshold compressor. So you have an input gain adjustment, you have attack and release, and you have an output gain adjustment. And this one also has a mix, so it lets you do some parallel processing. It's at 50% by default, which I like. So that means only half the audio is being run through the compressor, the other half is being just bypassed, which is cool. So it allows you to be a lot smoother with the compression. It allows it to be a lot less noticeable. So anyway, I boosted the input gain until I saw 4 or 5 dB of compression happening. I've got the ratio set to low here, so you might want that to be 2 to 1, Jeff. That would be kind of smoother compression. 4 to 1 starts to get a little aggressive. You can really start to hear it. I don't think that's necessary. So I have just a lower high switch on this compressor. I think you have 2, 4, 8, and 20 maybe on yours. Anyway, so I turn the input gain up until I see some compression happening, and then I bring the output level down to match what the audio level was before it hit the compressor. So with all compressors, you don't want to just be boosting the level. You want to be compressing the signal. You want to boost the quiet parts and reduce the loud parts. So with this type of compressor, when you turn the input knob up, so think of it all in a cascade, right? So the very first thing that happens is there's gain to the entire signal. So you turn up the input gain, that brings everything up. But this is a fixed threshold compressor, so some of that stuff is getting lopped off by the audio that's going over the threshold and by the ratio that you set. So the compressor is dropping the peaks down. But now, because you boosted the whole signal up and then you started compressing the loud parts, now you've got another control out here at the output to bring the entire thing back down to match what the level was at the input. So that's how these fixed threshold compressors work. You've got 2 stages. There's input gain, and then there's output gain. So you use input gain to push the level above the threshold to start compressing it. Then you have output gain to bring the whole thing back down. This is generally addition, and this is subtraction. Otherwise, you'd just be making it louder, and what's the point? So that's what I did. Here's how they sound with both off.
Childhood level knowledge of Catholicism. He grew up as a Catholic.
And here's how they sound with both on.
I was a 12-year-old Catholic boy. Therefore, I know what I'm talking about.
So, sounds a lot better to me. Very last step would be to go to your stereo output bus, turn on the limiter to get your level up to what is competitive in the podcast world. So, for me, since this was so quiet, I added 15 dB of gain here on the input. So this is kind of the same thing. It's a fixed threshold. I actually don't know what it is on this particular limiter. Might be -3 dB by default. I honestly don't know. But I added a ton of input gain until I saw some gain reduction happening. And I'm also looking at my meter over here. For me, I have Cubase Pro, so I have a loudness meter. And with a loudness meter, if you have that too, I would generally shoot for -14 LUFS. So that's integrated LUFS. That is loudness units full scale. That is the unit that Spotify and YouTube and iTunes all use as their reference levels. So Spotify is -14, YouTube's -13, I think. iTunes is -16. Something like that. I don't know. So -14 is my goal, and you don't have to be spot on. It's just a target. So I'm adjusting the gain on my limiter. I'm watching the gain reduction to make sure I'm not squashing it too much, and I'm also looking at my loudness.
Don't you know, I was a 12-year-old Catholic boy. Therefore, I know what I'm talking about.
So I'm -15 integrated.
I don't know anything about Catholicism.
And it changes, he's got some sections of dead quietness, so you have to factor that in as well. If I take a long streak where he was talking here.
I think Catholicism is goofy and teaches weird, crazy stuff that has no basis in the Bible, and we need to address that too.
Yeah, so -14.8, -15. Short term, it jumped up to 13 or something? I don't know.
It's goofy and teaches weird, crazy stuff that...
Anyway, that's how you'd use the loudness meter. That's how I would use the loudness meter. If you don't have that, you can just use the digital scale. For me, 0 is the max, and you want to look at the dynamic range here. So the dynamic range is just the difference between the peak and the average, or the RMS. So for me, that's sitting at about 16 right now.
I think Catholicism is goofy and
My
teaches
peak is
weird,
0.
crazy stuff that has no
RMS
basis in the Bible, and
minus
should
16.5.
we need to address that too.
So
But I kind of think it was addressed in the whole.
this might be a little bit on the quiet side. If I wanted, I could probably add another dB of gain onto this limiter, and you wouldn't affect it too much. So I'll just do
New
that.
Reformation thing, bigger fish than me. When he was near the burning bush, and that's what that means. Oh,
So now once I did that, things got louder. I got up to minus 13.5 there. So I'll probably keep it there, actually. I like things loud. So that's everything I did. To review, I did clip gain first to make sure the audio level was jumping up here at 60 to 70% of its max. Then I did EQ. It looks like that. Then I did compression. It looks like that. And then I used a limiter on the stereo output bus to get the overall level up to what you would hear all other podcasts doing. So that is everything I did. And the final step, after doing all the processing, first off, I would save the project, and then delete all your audio files, erase them from the pool. So I'll do that. Delete. Don't need this track. And then I would open up the pool. I'm not going to do this for real, but I would erase these from the project. So I'd drag them to the trash, and then I click empty trash, and then that tells this project not to look at those files anymore. And then I would go to File. Well, this would be gone too. File, save as template, and then I would just name it podcast recording or whatever you want to call it. Then hit OK. I'm sure. Hey, I got something from Amazon. I'm sure you have an easy way to save stuff as a template in your DAW as well. That's everything. So then when you start your next project, you just use that template. You record into this track that's got your EQ and compression on it, and you're off to the races. You can have a good sounding audio for every episode, every video you record. Yeah, that's everything. So hope this was helpful to you, Jeff, and to anyone else who was watching. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.